bow, bow. Here we go. We back at it again with another episode of Fourth and Fantasy. My name is Honcho, and this is my guy.
Siriaco. Call me Rocco.
Or whatever the hell you want to call him, as he usually says. Just don't
call
disrespect
me.
him.
Just call me, maybe.
How you feeling, Rocco?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good.
Man, I'm feeling good too, brother. I feel like, man, we had some good news over the last course of a day or two, as we posted on YouTube a little earlier today and on Twitter. We hit our first 100 plus video the other day. The last video that we recorded Sunday, for an up and coming podcast for us, I think that was episode 21. And we just been we've been consistently bringing y'all 2 episodes every week. I think we've brought 2 episodes every week so far for the last 2-3 months, trying to stay consistent with you guys, bringing the vibes. And we also gained like 23, 24 new subscribers over a night. Man, let me tell y'all, we are really appreciate y'all tapping in with us. It's glad to see that the channel is growing and that our efforts are we're seeing the fruits of our labor, and we're going to keep going, man. This just keeps us motivated and to keep going and producing more content for y'all. But I'm gonna let Rocco say
every one of you.
Yeah.
Thank you each and every one of you for showing up, showing out, and motivating us to keep going, keep getting bigger, keep getting better, keep getting stronger, and keep on bringing y'all good content and helping you guys win championships, because it's all about the gold. That's why I have it right here behind me. That's not all my ships, but that's some of them.
About the chip, about that gold, about that fatty, about that guap. That's what we doing. And at this point, I've actually left a few leagues, downsized a few leagues. Some leagues have actually nuked. People just started to leave. I think in one 12-team league, it got in a matter of like a day, there was only 7 teams left. And the commissioner was like, do y'all even want to keep this league? Brother, nuke this motherfucker right now. If you don't even know why you asking the question.
Yeah, if you got that many people that leave, it's better to just start a whole new league. Unless got a hard on for your team and just want to keep it going because you love your team that much. And there's been leagues like that where I want to keep it going. I'm in a league right now that I actually manage that I kind of want to nuke, but the guys they want to keep it going, so I keep it going. But
how's the chopping block been for you though?
I probably left about 4 leagues. There were some that I was on the verge of leaving, but I just stuck around because I like some of the guys in those leagues, and I'm building towards something. So I hate to leave a league that I was building towards something. There was a free league where I had like 5 firsts, and for some reason the commissioner, even though I had the lowest max points and the worst record, he gave me the 2, and I was like, deuces, I'm out. This is bullshit. No. I was like, bro, how in the world did I get number 2? He's like, well, you did good in the toilet bowl. I'm like, the toilet bowl, I wasn't even fucking paying attention to the toilet bowl. Like, once the season was over, I was over, but it was free, so I peaced out. I had an IDP league that I actually like I really like, but
I was part of it.
Half the people didn't want to like put any bones on it. Like, it was a free league, so yeah, and a few people left, and it was just too much work recruiting people when it was a free league. So I was like, fuck it, let's just nuke this thing.
Shout out to Reddit. I have filled 2 spots in my $75 league that I'm a commissioner of, and I thought it was about to be a headache because 1, people don't like to spend money, and 2, the teams that people were taking over weren't the greatest. And when you're talking about people taking over a team, they usually want that first year, if it hasn't been paid already, to be either reduced or waived, right? So luckily, the first guy I had to take over one of the teams, he actually said that he has 2025, and he went ahead and paid 2026 as well. Love to see it, and then actually got an active member out the league. He didn't make any trades. People were sending him trades. He wouldn't respond for 2 months. I'm trying to have, especially when you're in a $75 league, I'm trying to have nothing but active people. I'm trying to have nothing but an active league. People having fun. It's not fun when you're losing that much money and it's an inactive league. It's not cool. So I try to get all those guys up out of my leagues as quick as possible. No, now there's always an excuse. I don't like to use the word excuse. Sometimes there is a reason someone has of why they've been missing, why they've been MIA, whether they're not setting lineups or just not checking their trades. But for the most part, if you're going to be in a dynasty league and I'm the commissioner of that league, I expect for you to be active. I expect you to be in the chat. I expect for you to be making trades, setting your lineups, things of that nature. I don't want to have to hold your hand and set your lineups for you. And that's my end rant.
Oh no! If you if you can't set your lineup, you gotta get rid of them. I'm not totally opposed to people that don't make trades because that's just some people's strategy. But respond and set your fucking lineups. That's the least you can do. I mean, if you're gonna donate money, like why the hell are you even playing if you're not setting your lineup?
So, no, that's my heart. That's my gripe, Mr. Roco.
And I got a gripe. It doesn't have shit to do with fantasy football.
Let them know.
I was mindlessly scrolling Facebook, and let me tell you, Facebook's like the last app that I go to. I have to be like seriously bored. But I'm seeing people that I know are from New Orleans and the surrounding New Orleans area that are marking themselves safe from the fires in California. Bro, you've never even been to fucking California. I don't think you've been. Maybe you've been to Texas. That's as far west as you've been, you son of a bitch. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Let's be all the way the fuck for real. Let's not steal people's tragedies. All right, let's not tragedy share now. We all have our own tragedies to go through, unfortunately. Let California have their own.
Yeah. But, like, it's just like, hey, see me. I'm safe. I know you're safe. I know you're safe. You're in fucking New Orleans, bro. I mean, you're as safe as you're gonna be. You're as safe as you're gonna be. You might not be safe on the streets, but you're safe from the fire. But
so Roco,
that's it.
My G, I have a question for you, man. I've been this past weekend. I love me some football, especially playoff football, right? Especially college football, but just playoff time in general when it's, football season. The wild card round, man. I have a lot to say about it. I have a lot to say about that first round of NFL games. I kind of was bored, brother. If I'm being quite honest, I feel like the format this year resulted in a lot of poo-poo caca games. But you tell me, how do you feel about that wild card weekend?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, you can't tell me that the playoffs wouldn't have been better with the Cincinnati Bengals in instead of the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Pittsburgh Steelers were straight trash. They've been trash. Like they won all their games in the first half of the season and then lost all their games. Like I think they lost 5 in a row after the playoff game.
They did. Yep.
Like I don't know. It just don't seem right that a team playing that terrible could be a playoff team. Like, there have to be some kind of stipulations for getting in. You can't have lost 4 games in a row and play that shit. It's just
shitty ass game, boy.
It's affecting the product. I mean, and at the end of the day, the NFL needs to be about their product.
Why you make the NFL sound like they're the top drug dealer on the East Coast, on the west side of the hemisphere? The product, that product ain't hidden, baby.
Cause they've been having me in the trap for a while. They've been having me in the trap for years. Give me that.
Rocco, I have a question
Give me
for
that
you, G.
crack cocaine NFL playoffs. I watched every minute of it, even though I fell asleep a few times. But I watched that shit.
Question for you for that Steelers and Ravens game. The Steelers, one, there's actually two things I have questions for you for. One, Mike Tomlin, people say he's been there for about 18 years and they haven't looked too great. It's time for him to leave. Some people want him to leave. That's Do you think he should leave? Question number two. They also stated they want to bring back Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And I think if they had Justin Fields as quarterback, maybe things look different in the playoffs. How do you see that situation folding out for the Steelers?
I mean, I don't know if I don't think anything they could have done would have beaten the Ravens. The Ravens are just a much better team. It's kind of fluky that Pittsburgh even beat that team earlier in the season. But the way the Ravens are playing, the Pittsburgh never had a shot. It didn't matter if they had. I mean, maybe if they had Patrick Mahomes on the Steelers, maybe, but just about any other fucking quarterback they would have lost. They couldn't stop the run. So, they kind of, went a little soft on him in the second half, but I felt like, Derrick Henry could have just, he should have went over for about 250 yards, honestly, the way he was running.
It was spanking that ass, spanking that ass.
There was nothing they could do. I give Russell Wilson credit. He made a couple plays, in the second half that made that game closer than it really was. And for a second, I thought we might have a game, and then Derrick Henry went off for about 44 yards, and the game was over. But
It was over, baby.
I don't think Justin Fields would have made a difference. It would have been a little more fun if Justin Fields would play, because I think we know what we got with Russell Wilson, and I just love, I love the highlights that Justin Fields brings with him, but that wouldn't have changed the outcome at all. I hope that they don't bring both of those guys back. I hope they either go with Justin Fields or let both of them walk. And I hope, I think there is a slight chance that Justin Fields finds his way into a starting job next year if Aaron Rodgers retires and the incoming quarterback class is as trash as we think it might be.
I'm one of those people that want Justin Fields to be freed right today, yesterday, actually. I think Justin Fields can be a capable starter in this league. I think he has shown to be a capable starter in this league. And if you go back to last year where DJ Moore was throwing a hissy fit, that he was finding out that he wasn't going to be his QB going forward and that they were actually going to go get Caleb Williams. So, no, I absolutely do love me some Justin Fields, man.
DJ Moore had a career year with Justin Fields, and Justin Fields is just fun. The NFL's funner when he's starting for somebody, and
I agree.
I believe that if Justin Fields is your starting quarterback, and you have a hell of a good running back with him, you are going to have a chance to have the best rushing attack in the league. Get him a solid running back and a wide receiver one, and I think you're going to have a fun offense. It may not win you the Super Bowl, but it will put butts in seats.
I like to hear it, Rocco. On to another blowout, which kind of caught me out of the blue because I didn't expect for this team to look as decent as they did. But the Texans versus Chargers. Chargers kind of laid an egg, and Justin Herbert has been getting rocked ever since. Calling that boy, oh my, I can't even, the words I can't even repeat on the internet without getting canceled. It's crazy times right now, Rocco. 32-12, Texans take that without Tank Dell, without Stephon Diggs. Nico Collins basically went off. And then you had Joe Mixon. And then Stroud had an up and down game to me. But I didn't expect for the Chargers to look that bad as they did. But Ladd McConkey looks like he's going to be a top 10 receiver for the foreseeable, if he stays healthy, for the foreseeable future. So, how do you feel about that Texans Chargers game?
I feel that the Texans defense is legit. I mean, they were in the backfield the whole game. I mean, and that's the strength of the Chargers is their tackles, but those guys were getting beat up and down the field.
Spank that ass. Well, hold on. Where my goddamn? I need a more. I need Rocco. I need a soundboard that plays sounds like whoop ass or say something catchy. That's what we need a soundboard.
Hey, that's the next evolution is to get the sound effects going, man. All the great podcasts have sound effects, but I'm with you on that. My biggest takeaway is the Texans defense is legit. C.J. Stroud had a good second half. Joe Mixon kind of put it away at the end, and Justin Herbert. I'm not going to put this all on him. I mean, honestly, the Chargers, when we started the season, we didn't even think they were a playoff team. Mm-hmm. They got to the playoffs, and just get that man some weapons. Ladd McConkey is legit, but he needs a tight end. Will Dissly showed how terrible he is. Quentin Johnson had one of the worst games I've ever seen in my life. He dropped pretty much everything. And then he had one.
Hold on, brother. You can't go on Quentin Johnson like that. Okay, yes, he had a horrible game.
Horrible.
Horrible. But if you look at his overall 2024 season, man, compared to his rookie year, don't you think he has some things to be somewhat positive about?
I'm not talking about his season. He's had some up and downs during the season too, but he was horrible in his playoff game. And the one catch he had, he ran the route a yard short of the sticks. And then the replay came in, and he still dropped the fucking ball. Will Dissly threw a pass straight into the defender's hands. You just can't go into the season next year with Will Dissly as your tight end one and Quentin Johnson as your second receiver. I think Quentin Johnson could have a role on this team, but I think he needs to be a number 3. He can't be somebody you have to rely on week in and week out. He could be your sacrificial X and get that man another receiver to go with McConkey and get him a tight end and possibly another running back, and I think this team will be ready to go.
Rocco, I don't see it happening. Could you imagine Tyreek Hill getting traded to the Chargers? Ooh, with Herbert, with that arm from Herbert to go with Ladd McConkey, that'd be all you have to do is to also go along with J.K. Dobbins. Ooh.
The fit's great. The fit's great. I think they're going to bring in somebody to compete with Dobbins. He's on a 1-year deal, so I'm not sure if he's going to be back. And I love me some JK, but he could be one of the guys nuked by the incoming running back class. But even though I like the fit for Tyreek Hill, I think it's a perfect fit. I don't know if it's an organizational coaching fit, because I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is gonna be cool with that, because he has, he's kind of set in his ways about how he wants to run an organization, and it's proven successful. So I don't know if he, at this point, could have a guy with the baggage that Tyreek Hill brings.
Y'all heard it here first, y'all. Rocco says Jim Harbaugh is not playing that shit. He is not going with the nonsense from Tyreek Hill, and you heard it first from Rocco. There's 3 more games that we have to talk about, Rocco. We have the Packers versus Eagles, Commanders versus Bucks, and Rams versus Vikings. Eagles beat the Packers, Commanders beat the Bucks, and then the Rams beat the Vikings. But let's talk about the one game that I really want to speak about, because this particular quarterback that we're going to be talking about next, his long-term outlook or his future is looking a little weary. He didn't have the best game. But Sam Darnold, the Vikings lost 27-9. It did not look good whatsoever. And I don't think that he will be back when you have J.J. McCarthy coming back. And then you got Danny Dimes waiting behind it. I'm not saying Danny Dimes is the outmost capable starter in the world, but there's a reason why they brought him in. And from the listening to the Vikings head coach, it's kind of like the way he words the way he's speaking about Sam Darnold. It's kind of like he's saying goodbye. What do you think of Sam Darnold's long term value? What's next for the
Well,
QB? And do you think he did enough in 2024 for teams to take a shot on him?
I'll tell you what, Sam Darnold's had a hell of a season. I mean, we already called him our comeback player of the year as our previous show title. Dick Hammer comeback,
Dick
represents Dick Hammer
Hammer.
comeback. So many innuendos but anyway, yeah, I didn't even need to see the press conference from O'Connell. If you were watching that game, all you had to do was look at his body language. His body language said, I don't know if I could let him make it to the end of this game, much less next season. But I think that was always the plan for that team. J.J. McCarthy was the future. I think J.J. McCarthy probably would have been starting for this team by midseason if he hadn't got hurt. And, all the signs point that way. I mean, if the Vikings would have given Sam Darnold $40-50 million, there would be no way for this team to improve in other areas because they have a lot of free agents, and obviously they still have a big need on the offensive line. So having J.J. McCarthy on a rookie scale deal is going to allow this team to rebuild some of the salary cap hell they were in years before when they had Kirk Cousins still on the team. So, all of my J.J. McCarthy shares were jumping up and down, going fucking nuts because I got so much McCarthy. He's probably my most owned quarterback across all my leagues, and he is ready to come up from the taxi squad, and he's ready to play next year because – God darn it, that guy is going to be the QB1 for the Vikings. He's going to be the QB1 throwing the JJ to JJ.
Speak it up.
Man,
Speak it up.
Man, it's so much
Speak 'em
love.
up.
So
Speak
much
'em
love
up.
going on right now. I'm so excited, man. I think I'm even more excited to see JJ play than I am for AR, and everybody knows how much I love me some Anthony Richardson, but JJ is going to light up the sky next year. He is in the perfect team to inflate his numbers, to make him look good. You're gonna have a fully healthy T.J. Hawkinson, who had a great play in this game, catching a pass behind him and scoring. You're gonna have Jordan Addison. You're gonna have Jets, you may have Ashton Genty.
I was just about to say that, brother. I was just about to say that.
Wheels all the way the fuck up.
Yeah, I think the Vikings might, okay, don't get me wrong. I love me some Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is a very serviceable running back. But when you look
he's a free agent, though.
He's also a free agent, and he also had fumbling issues throughout the year. And what is better, an aging back who's probably going to be 31 next year, or one of the better running backs that we've seen come out in the last few years, right? I think I'm going to go with the younger, more explosive player in Genty, right? So, no, the Vikings have so much potential in 2025 to be better, and I think JJ and what they do and how they run that offense, he fits perfectly of how they want to run that offense. And if you ask me, he's a better arm talent than Darnold, right? So I think going
better
forward,
athlete too,
and better athlete, but he's more mobile. So as long as he didn't lose any of that with the injury, I think Minnesota has everything to be excited for in 2025. And it's kind of just about keeping your core guys together. That defense is really beautiful, and it's also one of the things they need to keep in mind. Are they going to be able to keep Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, or does he leave for a head coaching job? So we'll see.
I think they keep Brian Flores. He's kind of been blackballed ever since he sued an NFL team a little bit. And that defense did kind of fall apart. Not fall apart, but they weren't as good as they started the season. And I think that would be a good retention by the Vikings, because I think I really like the way his teams play defense. They're going to need a few more players. They're kind of smoke and mirror, because I don't think they have like the top end talent, but they produce a good defense, and that's all due to Brian Flores and his scheme.
Roco, man, listen, there's a two. I wasn't really wanting to speak on these games too much, but I think I have to, because the way these games went, there's a lot of fantasy implications in it. The Eagles and Green Bay game was very hard to watch. Watching Jordan Love, man, watching Jordan Love drop back. We saw Jaden Reed leave the game. We saw Romeo Doubs leave the game. Christian Watson was already out due to a torn ACL. Are the Green Bay Packers in a trouble at the wide receiver spot?
It's so funny because coming into the season, that was such a perceived strength of theirs. The Christian Watson, he's finally figured out his hammy. Everybody's favorite Dontavian Wicks, everybody's favorite sleeper. Jaden Reed, who was the next coming of Deebo Samuel, and Romeo Doubs, who's very underrated and probably played. When he did play, he probably was their wide receiver one. Just to see Jaden Reed fall off a cliff. Dontavian Wicks hasn't really shown up like we thought he might. Christian Watson continues to get hurt. He has not figured out his injury problems. And Romeo Doubs, with the Megamind helmet on, still got a concussion. So I think that this team.
Rocco, I will say about Romeo Doubs, and even before coming into the season, I kind of just felt like he was a jag, just a guy. I'm not to say, and that's not to be disrespectful, but there's nothing that really jumped off the screen when I thought about Romeo Doubs. I don't think he's a top 15 receiver. I don't even think he's a top 25 receiver in the league. So, and then when you think about Christian Watson, he has splash games that we see. Like, he can be that player that takes the top off the defense. And then Jaden Reed is a playmaker in general of that offense. None of that matters if you can't stay healthy. None of that matters if you can't get the ball in your playmakers' hands. And Jordan Love, and that's no diss on Jordan Love. The way that game was going, shit just wasn't going right. I think Green Bay might need to invest at that wide receiver position, which is crazy to think about. But if you really want to, you just gave your quarterback all that money. You can't continue to go out there and send out that same wide receiver group. I think they've shown you everything that you need to see at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they need somebody to emerge, or they need to find a guy that's going to be the number one. Then let all those other guys slide into their natural roles. I hope that Jaden Reed could emerge as that guy, but he's kind of shown himself to be more of a gadget guy that needs plays manufactured for him. Actually, I think the best receiver on that team may not even be a receiver at all, because Tucker Kraft is so fun. He looks like a baby Gronk out there. I know a lot of the passes he catches are near the line of scrimmage, but when he gets the ball, man, magic happens. Like, he's so hard to bring down. I think they need to find, more ways to get him the ball next year. And it's funny because it may be like a Raven situation where I forgot who it was, but Hayden Hurst was drafted in the first round by the Ravens, and Mark Andrews was like a fourth rounder. And Mark Andrews, turned into perennial Pro Bowler. And the same thing might be the case because Musgrave hasn't been able to get on the field, and Tucker Kraft looks really, really good.
Yep.
So I think they need to keep building. They got something special with Tucker Kraft, and I think they need to find more ways to get him the ball. And hell, he may emerge as the top target on this team because, he brings a lot of nuts to that team, and he's probably the most fun guy and one of the most consistent guys when targeted. It just seems like he always makes something happen, when he gets the ball. The other issue I found with this team, I think they became too reliant down the stretch on the run game, and maybe that was because, Jordan Love was hurt and their receivers weren't as good as promised. But they seemed like a better operating offense last year when they threw the ball more. They had more of a balance. So hopefully my Jordan Love shares hope that Jordan Love can stay healthy next year and they can get back to, being at least a more balanced team and not such a run-heavy team in 2025. That's my hope.
I like that, Rocco. And that's to say, Josh Jacobs, your value has went up, my boy, after the 2024 season. And that was the slate of the wild card game. Some snooze fest, some kept us in the game, but hopefully the divisional round has some better games for us to watch. But Rocco, there were some news throughout the week from my last episode. Diontae Johnson was waived by the Houston Texans. This is the third fucking time this man has been moved this year. What is going on with him? But he was claimed by the Baltimore Ravens, which might be the most pettiest shit we've probably seen all 2024. Because his year is now done. He cannot play per the rules of the NFL. He cannot play in the playoffs. What the fuck is going on, DJ? What? I don't know what to think.
The gap between how good he is and how good he thinks he is a wide chasm. And I think that his problem is he wants the ball and he wants the ball now, but he's just gotten to these teams and he doesn't even know the damn playbook, but he wants to be out there and he hasn't really done anything when he's been given, some opportunities. So his best bet is to just call this a fucking redshirt year. I still think he has talent, but his attitude may get him kicked out of the league because, you can only be released from so many teams before, you get kind of get crossed off the list of NFL teams. Like you might just
Can he be
too
saved,
difficult to. I think he can. I don't have a team in mind, but he does have a skill, which is getting open. Even though it's only getting open, 0 to 5 yards down the field. But I think he does have a role in the NFL. Hopefully this experience humbles him a little bit because if he comes in with that same attitude next year, he might not even be signed come training camp.
Rocco, if you're an owner, you're seeing all this crazy news. You're trying to figure out what do you do with this motherfucker, right? What are you trying to buy Diontae Johnson? Are you riding the low wave, trying to get him for a low fourth? Maybe if the league even has it, a fifth? Are you shooting a late third, fourth? Are you trying to acquire you some Diontae Johnson? Is he even worth trying to acquire at this point?
I think I'm hoarding my fourths right now in this draft because I think there's going to be some interesting talent available in fourth rounds. But I am intrigued with adding him on the cheap. I think a 26 fourth, might be the way, or a 26 third, and you give me back a fourth. I think I might be willing to do that. But that's as far as it goes. I'm holding on to my shares just because I rarely sell my assets low unless they're old. But that's about the extent of the offers I would make because he could very easily be nothing going forward.
Rocco, would you rather have Devin Neal or Diontae Johnson?
Devin Neal.
Would you rather have Kyle Monangai or
Kyle Monangai?
See, guys, if you don't get what I'm trying to do, we're saying, guys, you're probably gonna be able to get into the third or maybe in that fourth.
Maybe not Devin Neal, but
Devin Neal, no.
Monangai is a fun guy, so I like to hang out.
No, these are guys that we would definitely. Well, I wouldn't say definitely, but as at this point, this is not the draft to not have a third or a second. All right, if you don't have a first, go ahead and get you a number of seconds. Sometimes if people aren't willing to move on their first, you can easily still have a good draft if you acquire yourself some seconds. Easily, some seconds and some thirds. You can have some really undervalued players going forward.
Like I would rather have a Damian Martinez. I would rather have a Jordan James, even though you're not a big fan of him, but I like him. These are some of the guys that I would still take. That's why I could always make up that pick in 2026, especially if DJ gets onto a team, because we forget, just a few, maybe a couple months ago, he was really playing well for the Panthers. It's not like it's that far off where he was playing good football. He was playing good football just this year, and he's not old. He's just an asshole that thinks he's better than he is. So
that's the title of the pod. He's not old. He's just an asshole. That is the title of the episode.
Writing it down right now.
That is, guys. We literally the last 2 or 3 videos that's how we be coming up with the title of the episode. Just whatever.
That's what we do. That's
funny as hell. Well, thank you for that.
It's a process. It's a process.
No, I like I'm still a believer of Diontae Johnson. If you follow Route God, he's on IG, and that's the trainer that Diontae Johnson be working with on his routes. He puts in the work in. You see that he is
God, yeah.
He's not out there just lollygagging and bullshitting. So it's up here. There's something up here that's not clicking, and hopefully we're very much here. We preach mental health. We hope that he turns it around in 2025 because there is talent there, and we do think he can help out a team. He was in 2021 the 8th ranked receiver in Dynasty. So that's something that is the only top 10 finish for him in his whole career. But that is
I'm a fan. I think he's always been super underrated, and he's a target earner. So there is a chance that his attitude will get him kicked out the NFL, but there's also just as good a chance that he catches on with somebody, because the wide receiver crop free agency and the draft are not as strong as in years past, so he can definitely find his way onto a team. And if he finds his way on a team, he can be a wide receiver 2 for your fantasy team. So I would send out low ball offers and see what you can get. I'm just kind of hoarding on to my 2025 picks unless I get more of a sure thing.
Emphasis, y'all, on low. And we talking about low. As low as you can go. Limbo that bitch if you really have to. But on to our next topic, Rocco. Off-season movement so far, Playboy. Y'all, we're going to be going over some of the trades that we received over here at Fourth and Fantasy since the end of the season. Whether we accepted the trades, rejected the trades, still mulling them. And then there's also 2 additional trades not done by us, but that we found on Reddit that we found super interesting. And we would just like to give our insights on them of what we would go and do about it. But let me go ahead and share my screen with y'all real quick.
Let's go. All right, so this is your trade?
This is my trade in one of my leagues. So I'm the one who has Barkley, and they tried to offer me Jaden Reed, and was literally after the Packers game. So you have to have me all the way fucked up. That's just me saying this. But he tried to offer me Jaden Reed and the 112 for Saquon Barkley, and I thought this was almost a slap in the face. Rocco, what do you think about this damn trade?
Man, just for shits and giggles, as you put them up, I'm putting it on keep trade cut, and they still have Jaden Reed ranked a little high, even though he kind of shit the bed this season. And it's actually an equal trade, but yeah, I wouldn't do this for Reed and the 112. Barkley just had a historic season, and I am actually intrigued with selling Barkley because, the workload he had this year, and he's getting older. But this ain't it. This ain't the one.
It's not the one.
You need to at least get me in the middle of the first round, and get me somebody I can count on a little bit more. I like Reed as a talent, but until he learns to get open with his route running, he's just going to be a gadgety guy that relies on yak. So,
and it hurts me to say, Rocco, because I like Jaden Reed, but I don't think of him as a receiver.
I acquired so much Jaden Reed, and all of my Jaden Reed acquisitions have shit on top of my head. So I think my worst one, I gave up 2 seconds and Jalen McMillan for Jaden Reed, and I'm feeling terrible about that one right now.
Mister, I am feeling absolutely horrible about it.
I don't think I would give up Jalen McMillan straight up for Jaden Reed right now.
I wouldn't either. All right, on to the next one. No, this was in another league of mine. This is also a trade. They tried to send me the 101. For my 103 and my 112. I did not like that. Why? Because I honestly don't feel like I'm a Genty piece away. If I'm being super honest with you, my plans, I could still get at that 103 a good running back, which I need. Or if I want to go a different direction, I can go get me a quarterback.
So you'd be getting the one right here.
Yes, I would be.
Okay.
He would be sending me the one. Okay. Yes.
Gotcha.
He would be sending me the one. Moving up from the 103 to the 101 just right now is not worth it for me. And with that 112 spot, I'm thinking about grabbing Tyler Warren wherever he ends up landing because I need a tight end, and it's tight end premium. So, and he might be gone before then, but that's where I hopefully hope to pick up Tyler Warren at that later end.
Draft for talent, trade for need.
So I hear some people are like, some people actually kill over 101. Some people are foaming out of the mouth to get Ashton Genty on their team, and that's cool too. If he ends up on the Dallas Cowboys, I might be kicking myself on the foot. But I also feel like I could get just as good of a running back in a good situation at 103 and still keep my other first round pick. Would you do this trade, Rocco?
I love me some Genty, and I'll have me some Genty in a few of my leagues. But give me the 2 picks in this draft. I mean, you could probably get a Marion Hampton. You definitely can get a Quinshad Judkins if that's who you like. But at the 12, you can also get you might be able to get like a Luther Burden. Mm-hmm. You can get an Emeka Ibuka who's comp to the Sun God. You can get, like you said, Tyler Warren. You can get one of your favorites, Jalen Royals. Trevion Henderson. I mean, imagine if Trevion Henderson lands on the Broncos and is getting 80 targets a year.
I don't want him to go to the Broncos. I don't want him to go. I literally hearing all the bullshit from Sean Payton yesterday. Him talking about, oh, I don't believe in giving a running back the carries. Man, I don't want it.
Man, you need to look up the Coach Speak Index. Sean Payton's full of shit. You can't believe one goddamn thing he says in his press conferences. He was saying for a year and a half he was going to get Marvin Mims involved, and that dude didn't get not one touch for a year and a half. And when he finally stopped talking about him, he blew up.
Yes, he did. So,
you can't believe nothing Peyton says. If he gets Trevion Henderson, best believe that guy's getting damn near 80 targets or 80 catches a year. Javonte Williams got 53 catches this season. Think about that. And he didn't even play half the time.
I can't be mad at that. Now, this one is still pending, Roco, and I'm leaning towards no. One, because you know how I feel about my dogs, and he's trying to take two of them from me, Roco. He must not know who the fuck he playing with in the first place. He wants to get Baker Mayfield because he is a Tampa Bay Bucks fan. He wants to get Bowers. He wants McConkey, and he's giving me Kyler Murray, Jamar Chase, and the 11th pick in the first round. I'm leaning towards a no here. And then hear me out. I know that I'm getting Jamar Chase here. But I feel like with Bowers getting potentially a serviceable quarterback in 2025, and let's say the Raiders do hire Ben Johnson as a head coach, I think Bowers can have as good or better seasons than we saw from Jamar Chase at the tight end position. And then Ladd McConkey, I think, has top 10 potential at the wide receiver position as well. And I love me some Baker Mayfield. It's hard for me not to give up Baker in a 6-point
fantasy MVP.
Fantasy MVP, baby. In a 6-point league at that for passing touchdowns. When Baker Mayfield routinely is in that top 5 for passing touchdowns in the NFL, some people might have jumped out their pants to get Jamar Chase on their team. I still think he's wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, but I feel like I'm giving up way more long run and long-term value for Jamar Chase than actually what I need to here. And in this league, I just won the championship. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's without looking, I'd assume it's equal and keep trade cut. This is the hard for me. This one definitely, it's not like something that, like a trade that I would immediately reject. I'd have to really look at it from a lot of different angles.
Yeah.
Mayfield has been great for the last couple years. One of the red flags could be that he may be losing his second offensive coordinator in 2 years. I'm kind of hoping that, I hate to say it, but Todd Bowles, he can't manage a timeout. So, maybe you want to go with the offensive coordinator there instead of losing your second guy in 2 years to head coaching gigs, to keep Todd Bowles. But, he could lose, that guy.
Liam Cohen.
Yeah, he could lose that guy. So that could, take a hit, be a hit to him. And Kyler Murray, the idea of Kyler Murray is better than Kyler Murray. He should be better than he is. I mean, he's got talented weapons. He's got wheels. He was really good to start his career off, but something was amiss with him this past year. I've got so much Kyler Murray because I kind of bought into the hype of him being a big-time riser, a big-time sleeper, and he just kind of left me a little disappointed. So I think I lean to the right side, just because you have the tight end 1, and you have a guy I just heard, Matt Harmon, who's one of the most respected guys in receiver watching film and charting, said he believes Ladd McConkey may be the wide receiver 1 in this class, and that's a bold-ass take.
That is a bold-ass
take. But he
take.
the guy damn near put up 200 yards in the playoffs as a rookie.
That he did.
He may have close to, I'm not going to say he's Chase, but he may be able to put up an 85% of a Chase season, and Chase has nowhere to go but down after this past year. I mean, you can't improve on the Triple Crown. The 111 is intriguing, I will say, but give me the proven talent on that right side.
I like it. Next trade.
Tough trade, though. We already had that one.
Yep. This one, I ended up rejecting because I'm going to take the long run on Michael Mayer. And if you go to our Blue Sky, you will see a post about him today where I think this offseason, Michael Mayer could be traded. He is only 23, and he has a new regime coming in that did not draft him. And with Brock Bowers having and being the elite prospect that he is, Michael Mayer is looking expendable right now. Week 14, he had a really nice week. I think he was in the top 10 of tight ends, actually. And him still being as young as he is could be intriguing to an NFL team looking for a tight end. Let's say, I would hope, and it probably wouldn't even happen because we have enough tight ends. The Dallas Cowboys, he would look so good. Jason Ferguson let me down this past season.
You want everybody to go to the Cowboys.
Gee, I love me Michael Mayer. I love.
I'm telling you, know who I like? I like Schoonmaker. I think Schoonmaker can play.
He can play, but I like Mayer
I don't
better.
think Ferguson's that good, honestly.
I think Mayer's bigger. He's bigger than both. He's a good target. He's a good receiver, and he can block. I love me. He reminds me of a traditional tight end. I ended up rejecting this trade because I don't care for Jerome Ford.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good year, but, I mean, he is like the most obvious guy to get nuked in with a draft pick. And I still believe Chubb will be back. I think they're going to draft another running back, but I think Chubb will be back.
Yes, sir.
And when Chubb's there and when a rookie's there, he's not going to have a role. So he put up some numbers to the end of the season, and he was fairly efficient, but I don't trust him being a factor going forward. Mayer is a interested player in a lot of places. I was able to get him off of waivers, and as soon as I seen him hit waivers, I hurried up and made that waiver claim because he was a highly drafted. He was a highly drafted tight end, highly drafted in his draft at his position, and he can still play with Bowers because Bowers is not really the traditional tight end. He can, Brock Bowers is, he lined up on the outside. He's lined up in the slot, so Mayer can be that more traditional inline tight end. If they don't move him. So I think there's a world where both of them could be productive.
I like it. This one came to me the other day, and I'm not fucking with it because if this was beginning of the season, Bryce Young, maybe you might have caught me on a good day. And mind you, this is, if you see in our right-hand corner, this is super flex. And it's just, I'm not fucking with it, Roco. You want I'm not fucking with it. Just if we're being honestly.
Fucking jerk off motion.
Like, you got me all the way bent because 2006 second, 2007 second for, and mind you, he doesn't have a QB2 at the moment. He has Daniel Jones, he has JJ McCarthy. He just traded for JJ McCarthy, and he has Anthony Richardson. So he's coming, and this is in my $75 league I commissioned. He ended up taking over the team. So this is one of the trades he sent in when he initially got into the league, and I assigned him to the team. But he had a little bit too much dip on your chip. At first, he just tried to send me a 2026 second, just that, for Bryce Young. I'm like, did you not watch the end of last year?
He missed the whole second half.
I think you did. Decline might have been the quickest decline of the 2025 offseason, but I was not rocking with that run, Roco. And then we have.
I mean, he didn't even send you a 25 pick. Like, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait like 3 years for all these picks to convert.
Right. To reap the fruits of my labor. No, pass, get the fuck on. I'm not speaking to you no more. And you're actually in timeout for about a week. Don't send me no more trades. You're in timeout. I this is one of the I posted
Oh,
this
I see one
trade.
accepted.
Yes, I did. I posted this trade in our Discord because I actually do love me some Devonte Adams. And what y'all were just saying, what y'all told me was get where y'all can get for Adams what you can for him at this point because he is getting older. You're not sure what his long-term future is looking like with the New York Jets and or how long he's going to be playing, who's his quarterback is going to be. There's a lot of ifs when it comes to Devonte Adams. I hit a set because in my head I feel like I can get a really good running back at that later second round and somebody who I'm really big on that the draft community is going to eventually come around on. Jalen Royals could still be there at late second. That's who I would gladly take over Devonte Adams. And this was a easy accept for me in a league that I was in that mid area. I wasn't top, but I wasn't the worst team either. I was right in the middle,
Hmm.
which I kind of hate, but also lets me know
Worst place to
I'm
be
right
at.
there. Worst place to be at, but it lets me know I'm right there. How do you feel about
Yeah,
this one?
yeah. The only thing that throws me off a little bit is it's at the end of a 14-team second round, so uh, it's gonna be a little. It's gonna basically gonna be a like a basically like a mid
Our early
third.
third. Or,
Yeah, mid to early to mid third at that pick. So, you're not going to be able to get quite the same caliber player in a 12 team at the end of the second. But yeah, I mean, Adams, you're selling on the name, and he could easily be nothing. After this year, he's 32 years old. He's very uncertain on where he's going. And I mean, just look at what's happened to DeAndre Hopkins. You can't even get a third for him now.
I'm telling you, man. So I ran when I got this one. These are, and this is a couple. We have a few of your trades that you made, Rocco.
All
Talk to
right,
us about
that's
this one.
all right. So, the Dareke Young, that's what's his name? Allar from Penn State.
Oh, Drew Allar. Yep.
Drew Allar. I couldn't remember his first name. That's Drew Allar from Penn State.
Okay.
J.J. McCarthy. This was before the playoff game where it was cemented that J.J. McCarthy would be the 2025 QB1 for the Vikings week
Okay.
one. And I got a 27-second just thrown in just because this is a Devy league if you haven't noticed. Yeah, so Purdy makes me nervous a little bit because he still doesn't have a contract. Um, Basically, because he still doesn't have a contract. He had a down year, and he was, I think, a seventh round pick. So, I'm pretty certain he'll be retained, but I'm not 100% confident that he couldn't end up somewhere else at some point. And once he goes somewhere else, I'm not 100% confident that he's going to be the same guy. So, I mean, 80% he's just going to keep on producing like he has. 20%,
Yep.
could be, a negative outcome for him. And I have a few shares of Purdy, so I just kind of wanted to diversify. This is a total blow-up rebuild. I won the championship twice in this league. So I'm just kind of rebuilding. And I probably won't be competitive this year and probably maybe not even next year because I really tore this thing down to the studs. So, that was another reason that I was good with giving up Purdy because he was one of my few win now pieces. And I got, a player that I think eventually is going to be better than Purdy with J.J. McCarthy. Drew Allar has a lot of traits that
like
could
this.
land him to get picked fairly high in next year's draft. I was kind of hoping that he came out in this year's draft, but fuck it. He came out in next year's draft in 27. That's a second dart. That's a dart throw in 2027. The guy that I got to pick, he could be rebuilding by then, so that could be an early second.
I like this trade, Rocco.
By that time,
I do, and we are both on the same wavelength because I'm also trying to move off of Purdy in a few leagues myself because I feel like I can go get, let's say, a JJ McCarthy, or I can go get me a Bryce Young and then get a second or third. Actually, get a second on top of that. So, yeah, Purdy's one of those guys I am trying to sell in my leagues just because, and I still think he's a good quarterback, and people love the name, and it makes it easier for me to make moves. So he is definitely somebody I am trying to move off of.
And check out my quarterbacks in this league. J.J. McCarthy, as you see, but I also got Drake May, Michael Penix, Drew Allar. That's my quarterback. So I got a lot of good young talent.
Yes, sir.
Pretty weak at everywhere else, but I like my young quarterbacks.
So, tell us about this trade.
All right, so this trade kind of, I think this one happened today. A guy that's pretty active. Well, let me set up the league. This is a league that I'm doing a soft rebuild. I'm trying to get rid of some of the older talent. My team is basically a bunch of win now pieces that didn't win last year. So now I'm selling off some of the older parts. My younger pieces include Brian Thomas Jr., Xavier Worthy, AJ Brown is kind of on the fence. So I this guy offered Isaac Arendo, who I like the talent on, and the 111, who I think is going to be a good player in this draft. And I got rid of some of my older guys. I mean, Connor's in his 30s, so those wheels could fall off at any time. Christian Kirk has been completely nuked by Brian Thomas Jr., and he probably would never find his way to start for my team. And I don't want to start Kirk and Brian Thomas Jr. I just don't like. I don't like starting two guys from the same team. And Ramondre, he had a bad season. He fumbled a lot, and he was yanked out of the lineup a few times for another fumbler in Antonio Gibson. So hopefully, these pieces help the guy I traded to. But I like my side. And another unnoticed part of this draft, this trade, is I've freed up roster space. So after the draft, I won't have hard cuts to make, and I can be aggressive on waivers.
I like it, and I personally like this trade that you made. You got rid of some older pieces with James Conner and Christian Kirk. I actually do like me some Christian Kirk, but it seems like he can't stay healthy, unfortunately. And then with that offense, it kind of is an up and down situation. Now, if they bring in an offensive mind guy to help out with Trevor Lawrence and his development and make that offensive what we hopefully think it could be with Evan Ingram, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk, hopefully ETN's back and looking some type of serviceable, right? But I think you took the hotter hand in Garendo with CMC. His time is not going to be forever, and we can see Garendo taking over with that backfield. And then you get the 111 in there, which could be plenty of guys. There's going to be so many different options for you to go there, whether there's Luther Burden, you can, like you said a little bit earlier in the episode, you can go get Aminka Egbuka, those guys. There's a Tyler Warren, another running back. There's a few guys that you can pivot to towards that later first round.
And the thing I like about Garendo is he can be productive even if CMC comes back fully healthy, because he brings a different skill set to the table. Whereas, CMC is going to be almost a receiving back and, really good in the red zone. Garendo could really be that hammer back, so he could be the thunder to CMC's lightning. I think he's got a lot of upside. He was the best athlete at his position out of the draft. So definitely has that home run threat to himself. And Christian Kirk, I mean, I think even if he regains his value or regains, starts playing like he has in years past, I think at best it's a wide receiver 3 and mostly a roster clogger.
I agree. And that has been our off-season movement so far. It's still ongoing. People are sending trades. Some leagues are still quiet. Some people are assessing their teams. We at Fourth and Fantasy already was ahead of that and been doing that shit since the beginning of the year. So we're just, like I said, staying ahead of the curve. To end off our episode, we are past that hour mark. It has been a great episode, Rocco. I can't say nevertheless. It's been a really good time. It's been flowing. And you already know what part of the show we're at. We're at Devy Player of the Week. And we have a special guy to me. You know how I feel about my dogs. And we just got a new dog in the dog pound, my boy. Zachariah Branch. USC transfer, man. Before I even get started on Branch and get to the nitty gritty, let me get the clip started. Just in case you don't know who Branch is, let me get you hip because you need to know who this man is. Now, this is him in high school. He went to Bishop Gorman. He was before I actually get to the nitty gritty of him in high school, he plays the wide receiver position. He is 5'10", 178 pounds, 174 pounds-ish around there. He reportedly runs a 40-yard dash in 4.35 seconds. Coming out of high school, he was a 5-star prospect and one of the top-ranked receivers in 2022. He was the 2021 Max Prep Nevada Player of the Year. His freshman year, I love his celebration. I
like that last clip.
I love his celebration when he does that shit. Now, his freshman year at USC, he earned first-team All-American honors as a returner. He averaged 18.4 yards per kickoff return and an astounding 30.8 yards per punt return and 2 return touchdowns. Man, what I see from Zachariah Branch, and maybe it's because he wears that number 1 on his jersey, but you can't tell me this man doesn't remind you of Percy Harvin on the way he's implemented and how they use him. He is such a playmaker, whether it's as a returner, as a receiver, or as a runner. One thing that we saw in 2023, he was playing with Caleb Williams, as you know, the number 1 overall from previous year for the Chicago Bears. And USC still was up and down as a program. And when he first signed to USC, I was kind of bummed because I just personally didn't like that offense. I don't think it suited him very well for his skill set. Even though they had Lincoln Riley, who was considered one of, the better offensive mind in college football, I just didn't personally like the fit. But he still showed that playmaking ability. In 2023, he finished with 31 catches, 320 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns to go along with 9 rushes, 70 rushing yards, and 1 touchdown. Not something, to, be all sensational about, to hype about. Decent yards, I think, once again, he is a playmaker, as we see with Jaden Reed. He still needs, route development. Once again, it's USC. I don't think they run the most prolific offense of what we are needing out of a NFL receiver. But you do see them wanting to get the ball in his hands, right? In 2024, no more Caleb Williams. You have a worse quarterback situation. You still have Lincoln Riley as your head coach. He went for 47 catches, 503 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. Some of the pros that I have for Zachariah Branch. He has game-breaking speed and acceleration, can very much take the top off of a defense. He has elite change of a direction skills, a nightmare in the open field to tackle. To try to tackle this man is almost like trying to catch a chicken in a phone booth. That shit ain't happening. They scary everywhere. He is so elusive. Trying to tackle that man is a headache to say the least. He is, and I put this in capitalized letters, an offensive weapon. Like I said, he contributes as a receiver, he contributes as a runner, and as a return specialist. There are certain things that you can't teach in a prospect, and that is speed, that is acceleration, that is elite playmaking, that is making somebody miss. And boy, do I love players that make it look easy. I just want to see him have more opportunity. When he gets to Georgia, he's going to have a better quarterback situation. Hopefully, Ryan Puglisi wins the starting quarterback job over Stockton coming in. I think he has that talent to win it over. And the sky is the limit for Zachariah Branch. And he's going to be in that 2026 draft. He's definitely going to be somebody that I am targeting because I love playmakers on my team. And as you told me earlier today, he was your first Devy pick, actually. So how do you feel about Zachariah Branch?
Man, he make me a little nervous, to be honest. I looking back on that draft, I took him over Ashton Genty, and I kicked myself in the ass. What I like about him is he's super fast, and what I like even more than his speed is the way he moves while he's running. Like, he just completely changed his direction. Like, I think it was the highlight of the high school play where he was running side by side with the guy and then just, angled to the left, and the guy had no chance. But what concerns me is I'm not seeing those same type of plays in college. It seems like some of the times he's not running full speed, and people with his speed should be blowing up angles where he's getting tackled before he can house it all the way. So that I didn't like that as much, but I think and the other thing I didn't like is it doesn't seem like USC used him downfield at all. It's only averaged 10 yards per catch. It seems like, and just watching his highlight tapes and watching some games, it looks like his game is completely manufactured touches, bubble screens, and trying to get him into space and hoping he can make something happen, as opposed to letting him run real routes and letting him get down the field. I mean, when you got somebody with speed like that, you would think they would at least let him run some 9 routes every once in a while just to keep the defense honest. So hopefully, with Georgia, he gets more of a chance to actually, be a real football player instead of a gadget guy. Because if he's a gadget guy, then that's the play right there where he just completely changed directions, running full speed downfield.
I agree with you, Rocco.
If he doesn't get a chance to be a real receiver, then that Devy pick is blown, because those gadget players don't have a real role in the NFL unless they get with only the best offensive coordinator that finds a way to spam those type of actions. But until he shows that he can be a real receiver, I'm a little nervous on him, to be honest.
I'm gonna have to throw that nervousness out the window, Rocco. I feel really good about Zachariah Branch, and I will note that just because of how he was used at USC, I think that is mainly the reason for his production and what we see from him. And the sky is the limit with him in Georgia. Now, we're not a passing offense. It's not like he's gonna tear it up perception-wise.
Land McConkey and Brock Bowers didn't have big counting stats.
Exactly.
So just think about that.
Exactly. When you go look at Ladd McConkey and why he was being considered in that first round to go. He didn't go in the first round, but there was consideration for him to go in that first round just off of trace alone. Zachariah Branch is not the route runner of Ladd McConkey. by none. One of the cons I have for Zachariah Branch is that his route tree is very much underdeveloped,
Mhm.
which comes from being at USC. But I really do think he can take a step forward at Georgia and show why he was Nevada's 2021 Player of the Year for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, coming out, I think one of the things that put me onto him, I think he was the number one recruit at the wide receiver position. So definitely had a lot of talent coming in. Track and field guy, so he has great speed and great athleticism. And I'm not even worried about the counting stats at Georgia. I just hope he gets a chance to, show some of his route running, and play a real receiver position instead of whatever they were doing at USC.
So in 2026, where do you think you would have to draft? And mind you, we're going to have to watch the 2025 season to really get a good grasp of this question. Where do you think you would have to pick up Zachariah Branch in that 2026 rookie draft? He's looking like
I
a
think
solid second right now.
I think he's gonna be late first, early second, just on traits alone.
Trace alone.
Just on some of the highlights he's gonna bring, and I think he'll definitely be a top 2 round NFL pick. So that's another reason why he'll go that high, even if he doesn't have a monster season. I think he will still, people will still, you could say, reach on him, even if he doesn't, have a big season, come 2025. And if he doesn't have a big season, you may have 2 years of him in Georgia.
I love it, Rocco. And that is our show for y'all today, man. Episode 22. Listen, that's nothing short. We've been literally ripping the things for y'all. Putting out episode after episode consistently. 3 months, 2 months, back to back. We've been going
Let's
hard.
go.
We're not hibernating. While other people are taking time off, we putting that work in all off season. Grinding. Thank you all for tuning
Let's
in.
go.
Like I said, we are hungry for this. This is not something that we're taking lightly. We having so much fun putting together each episode, whether it's the thumbnail, whether it's the episode title of the episode. We're trying our very best to bring y'all a really good product from our end. So thank you for everybody that tunes in, man. We very much really do appreciate it. Everybody that follows us on Blue Sky, all our new subscribers, everyone that follows us on Twitter, wherever you follow us, no matter what social media platform that you listen to us on, Spotify. Thank you. And we appreciate you all from Fourth and Fantasy. And we will catch you all again later this week, as we will be posting out another video. Catch us then. This is Fourth and Fantasy. Rocco, my boy, it's always a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. This was fun, man. I can't wait to do this in the near future, where we'll be bringing you some rookie mocks.
And remember, like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, y'all have a good one.